Israel's killing of the 6 journalists in Gaza and afterwards saying, oh, well, one of them was Hamas, so it's okay. It's infuriating. And it tells us a lot about Israel's decision-making, Israel's system of democracy and why the solution to all of this has to be a long-term systemic change. So first of all, it tells us a lot about how important it is to Netanyahu to control the narrative. Okay, so Netanyahu is spending a lot of time silencing opposition and silencing journalists. We know this. Journalists aren't allowed into Gaza anymore. These guys were living in a tent in Gaza. That's why they were there. But otherwise, journalists are not allowed in. Even in Israel, journalists have been arrested for saying something that Netanyahu doesn't like. The rhetorical war is part of the actual war. And this is one of Netanyahu's, favorite things to do. He's the big talker, the big liar, really. He got on the radio this week and he just lies. He says one thing to the foreign journalist and another thing at home. I mean, this is what he does, is he's controlling the narrative. And this is why targeting journalists is important to him, because he needs to silence the opposition. Also, 270 journalists have been killed in Gaza, which is unbearable, and it's unprecedented, and it should violate everything we believe in as people living in democracy, and just people who care about humanity, because we need journalists, we need media, we need people to tell the story, especially when terrible things are happening. That's number one. Number two, this tells us a lot about decision-making and democracy, something that Israel has been doing long before October 7th, which is that Israel says, okay, well, we decide that this person deserves to die, so we're going to drop some kind of bomb, and everyone around them is going to get killed also. So Israel has been doing this for decades, not just in Gaza. Everyone, Israel drops a bomb, and the news says, oh yes, some guy who's labeled a terrorist or whatever dies. And the news sometimes forgets or doesn't bother to report that, another 11 or 12 or 100 people around them were killed as well, including children and families and whoever happened to be there. Israel thinks that this is it's par for the course of war. It goes even deeper than that, which gets to, what Israeli democracy is at all. Why does Israel have the right to randomly say, this person is Hamas, therefore we're going to just go and kill them? Why does Israel have the right to do that? Why is that thinking even okay? Whatever happened to, law and order, judges and juries? If we think someone is responsible for something, what happened to the idea that they should be actually arrested by a law and go through a law and order process? That doesn't even happen, and Israelis are so used to this idea that, if the government says that this person is Hamas or this person is a terrorist, then therefore they must be, and the army kills someone, it doesn't matter if that person's a 9-year-old boy or a 13-year-old boy or whatever. As soon as Israel and the press office of the IDF or the Prime Minister's office says, the person killed was a terrorist, okay, that's it, that's enough. No, it's not okay. That is the exact opposite of democracy. And the problem is that Israel does this in so many areas. Israel does this also with house demolitions, for example. Can you imagine if you have a relative, let's say you have a son-in-law who commits a crime, and you end up having your house demolished because of that? It's part of Israel's entire war on land. The house demolitions are okay because what Israel really wants is taking over land, is destroying Palestinian homes. And this brings me to the third point, which is that in order to stop all this bloodshed, this endless violence, what we really need to do is go to the root causes of all of this. And the root cause of this is Israel's complete lack of democracy when it comes to Palestinians. Palestinians living in the West Bank have no state to call their own. They have no place protecting them. They have no system of government that they belong to. Instead, they are just subjected to Israeli whims, to Bibi Netanyahu pointing at someone and saying, well, you deserve to die, and your family deserves to die, and your family deserves to be removed, and we could come into your house in the middle of the night and completely destroy your house, or like what happened last week where the army came in the middle of somebody's wedding. The family was preparing for their kid's wedding, and the family and the IDF just kicked everybody else and started arresting people, and these things are just happening. And so that's why in Israel, Israelis have been protesting for democracy for about 3 years. But it's so much deeper than that. We can't just say, we need to protest the government's, judicial overhaul. Israel's democracy problem is so much deeper than that, which is that there are 3 million Palestinians in the West Bank and 2.2 million Palestinians in Gaza who have no rights at all, and we completely control them. We, Israel, are completely controlling them. I mean, even when Israel tries to deny this whole famine thing and the starvation thing, it's denying the fact that Israel is in control of what's going in and out, what food is going in and out of Gaza. Why? Why are we controlling what 2.2 million people are eating? Why is that our job? The answer is it is not. It is absolutely not our job. And so we have to go much deeper. We have to go much deeper if we're ever going to fix this. And we have to go to the root causes of all of this suffering, which has to do with who are we? What is it? What is Israel? Is Israel actually a democracy? Who are the people living here? There are 14 million people living between the river and the sea. There are 14 million people here. More or less 7 million Jews and 7 million Palestinians. Plus minus. Okay? We are all here. We are all human beings. And if we're ever going to end the violence and make a normal life, what we have to do is we have to create a system here in which every single person who lives here has the rights to live and to move and has justice, the right to eat, the right to be, the right to see family, the right to go to your children's weddings, the right to go to the beach, the right to speak your language, the right to speak, all of us, all 14 million people living here. So for Israelis, this can be hard because you know what? It means that we have to let go of all kinds of language of demography and all that kind of stuff. We have to let go of the idea of a Jewish majority as being a sine qua non for all this. It's not. It's not. We cannot be a Jewish majority and also a democracy. Not with 50% of the people being Jewish and 50% of the people not being Jewish. We have to rethink all of this. We have to stop being this evil people that thinks it's okay to kill so many people just because Netanyahu says so. Treating Palestinians as if they're all terrorists by default, even children. We have to stop doing that. We have to start from the premise that all human beings are human beings and rebuild a whole system. We have to do that if we're ever going to get out of this hellscape. Yes, hellscape. We in Israel, in Gaza, and West Bank, we are all living in a hellscape.